Well, the time has finally arrived. Prophecy is finally going to be the dungeon in rotation for Rite of the 9 this week. Now, alongside it, we're going to be receiving our final 4 weapons for this event. That being a refresh of Judgment, Prosecutor, Relentless, and Sudden Death. Now, these weapons have all received a fresh coat of paint, both in cosmetic look and perk pulls. And as with previous dungeons, each weapon has a new 9-themed look. And you can farm for either the normal or adept drops. And in addition, there is a rare chance that each weapon can drop as a shiny, or in this case, holofoil, which let me just say has some of the sexiest drip Bungie has ever given us. Today though, just like we've done with past weapons, we're going to be touching on god rolls to be looking out for this week. And if you don't have time to grind this week, don't worry guys, next week actually brings increased loot drops. Now as a quick reminder, each weapon drop from this event comes with the brand new exclusive origin trait called Gravity Well. It's a very good origin trait. Reloading this weapon automatically gathers nearby ammo. Essentially, as long as you are within 16 meters of an ammo brick, when you manually reload, it will then pick up all of that ammo. It's a very good origin trait, guys. Now, like we've talked about before when going over god rolls, this origin trait requires a manual reload. For instance, things like Envious Arsenal, Slide Shot, hell, even Rewind Rounds, those things won't proc this origin trait. However, perks like Overflow, Lead from Gold, that allows you to pick up ammo when you walk over the ammo brick, will in fact proc Gravity Well, which is quite nice. Now, our other origin trait that's found on our prophecy weapons is Crossing Over. This reads that this weapon has increased range and handling for the top half of the magazine, while rounds from the bottom half of the mag deal increased damage. Now, we have had this one for a while, but for a quick refresher, at full magazine capacity, you receive a range buff of +10 and a slight handling bump. Now, this decreases linearly as your magazine approaches 50%. Now, this would then bottom out at half of the stat values, such as +5 range once you reach 50% of your magazine, but then from 50% of your mag and lower, you will receive a slight damage bonus. Once again, a linear progression on that as well. So it actually starts off at 1.5% more damage, and then we'll go up to 3% more damage as your magazine depletes. Now let's get into our god rolls, starting with Judgment. Previously reprised during Season of the Witch, Judgment is a stasis 140 round per minute hand cannon. In our third column, we have Demolitionist, Keep Away, Lone Wolf, Headstone, Rapid Hits, and Slide Shot. In our fourth column, we have Adrenaline Junkie, Paracausal Affinity, Rhyme Stiller, Opening Shot, Timed Payload, and Precision Instruments. Now in terms of the perks that we have lost, in our third column, we no longer have Enlightened Action, we no longer have Moving Target, and we don't have Encore. And then our fourth column, we've lost Vorpal, Eye of the Storm, and Multi-Kill Clip. Now let me just start with my PvE players first. Without a doubt, guys, Headstone, Rhyme Stiller, or even like Headstone Time Payload all day long. You get the extra damage from Time Payload, you got Headstone spawning in Stasis Crystals, or you can double up with the Stasis Synergy and go Rhyme Stiller and Headstone together. Now you do have Paracausal Affinity, where final blows of an energy type matching the weapon's element grant increased damage for a short period of time. It's not a massive bump, we're talking like 20%, but it does allow you to proc it from any type of kill, just as long as it's matching the elemental elements of the weapon itself. For me though, I like to just keep things simple, guys. Headstone, Rhyme Stiller, Headstone Time Payload. That's what I'm leaning toward, even more so than Precision Instruments, which I do know does give us more damage after multiple stacks. I'm gonna test that one out. I'm actually curious to know if Precision Instruments will proc multiple stacks from like a Stasis Crystal that's shattered from Headstone, which no doubt would be wild, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now for my PvP players, one thing to take note about this hand cannon is that you have access to sights, where typically that's barrel perks. You've got things like Steady Hand, True Sight, Sure Shot, but again, just like barrel perks, some of these have great benefits, but also has some decreased stat values as well. Personally, I'm a big fan of Hit Mark. You get that +5 there in range and that +5 in aim assist. We also have Accurized Rounds to boost our range even more. You tack that on with like a range masterwork and potentially a range adept mod. Fellas, we're pushing 79 range with Judgment here. Then, if you take it further with Keep Away, now you're cranking that range up by another +10 as long as enemies aren't within 15 meters. Now, I personally love Keep Away on a multitude of weapons. I very much love it on Nation of Beasts, which is one of my most used hand cannons in the game. The big benefits you get out of Keep Away is the range bump, which technically gives you like another half a meter before damage fall off, but also the decrease there in accuracy cone growth. Now you have other perks in that column too that are very good. You've got Lone Wolf, which is also solid. Yes, I know it got a nerf, but it's still good. You've got Rapid Hit, you've got Slide Shot, which many people love on a multitude of hand cannons, most notably Rose. You could definitely take advantage of those. Now in that fourth column, things kind of fall off. It's not that these are bad perks, they're just not anything crazy. Opening Shot for overall consistency see, but again, not something I go out of my way for. I know, it boosts your range, it boosts your aim assist, which is nice because technically speaking, you could do opening shot and keep away. You would have your first shot getting the maximum benefits from opening shots, and then keep away would pick up everything past that point in terms of accuracy cone growth. So I get the appeal. Time payload is another one. My only issue with time payload is that explosion is delayed. And unfortunately, that means even though it comes down to a fraction of a second, it can result in you trading with enemies. I can tell you how many times I'm shooting an enemy, we're both shooting each other, he registers his kill, and then I get the kill on him, but because of the small delay there from time payload, he was able to achieve the kill on me, and it would just result in a trade. No lie, for some reason though, I do like time payload. It's like the staggered explosive shots throws your enemy off, even more so than like explosive payload, but it does result in more traits. Now we also have precision instruments, where dealing sustained damage significantly increases precision damage. What this can result in is the ability to 2-crit one body at tier 8 resilience and below, which is pretty nice. And this was a perk that was not present on the previous version of Judgment. We'll be reviewing this hand cannon more in depth once we get our hands on some rolls this week. I will say when it comes to Judgment though, it is very subjective. And in the past, you had folks that absolutely love this hand cannon, and then you had folks like myself that just wasn't a fan of it. Like, disregard the perks. The hand cannon itself just wasn't one that I was that crazy about. Now, next on the list, we have the Prosecutor. Oh, baby. At one time, this thing was the king, man. A 450 round per minute arc auto rifle. In its third column, you've got Eddy Current, Dragonfly, Subsistence, Keep Away, Attrition Orbs, and Zen Moments. In our fourth column, we have Rolling Storm, Onslaught, Paracausal Affinity, Tap the Trigger, Target Lock, and Volt Shot. Now, in terms of the perks that we lost, in our third column, we lost Rewind Rounds. We also lost Discord and Gutshot Straights. In our fourth column, we lost Golden Tricorn, Frenzy, and Cascade Points. Let me just say, losing access to things like Golden Tricorn and Frenzy definitely hurts, which really puts a lot of pressure on the refresh of these perks. And no lie, they look pretty good. You've got your arc synergies all across the board, whether it's Rolling Storm, Volt Shot. You've got Dragonfly in there that you could tack on, giving you even more AoE damage. You also got Eddy Current right there, which synergizes beautifully with arc. Onslaught is also present on this weapon. PvE wise, things look pretty good, although keep in mind 450s are not necessarily the craziest inside of PvE, but good trait combinations nonetheless. And if you're just looking for raw outputs, Subsistence, Onslaught is a good combination to go with. Now for PvP, look man, this is what we remember about Prosecutor. Don't get me wrong, PvE it's nice, but PvP baby. Back in the day when Prosecutor was the only thing that could stand up to Uriel's gift, where it sits now is even better. Combinations like Keep Away, Target Lock all day long. For 6v6, Keep Away and Onslaught, very, very good. And some of you may ask, why not do a double up perk? Do Tap the Trigger, Keep Away, both enhance. And keep in mind, the enhanced version of Tap the Trigger boosts that stability. Also, it helps with that recoil. And these effects last for 0.7 seconds. Well, hell guys, that's practically the entire gunfight. Now, could you opt for something like Zen Moment over Keep Away? You could, although I wouldn't recommend it, as I don't think it's necessary. Being a precision frame auto rifle, it already feels really good to shoot. The base stats are already very solid. You combine this with say ricochet rounds or even high cal with a half decent barrel perk. You don't really need Zen Moments to bridge that gap. Prosecutor looks very good though. And keep in mind, these benefits are even amped up more when using Crossing Over, which to me is such a good PvP origin trait. Next on the list, we have Relentless, an absolute powerhouse in the high impact frame archetype. Now this bad baby is Strand. It was actually changed to Strand in Season of the Wish and its reprisal. But one thing interesting about Relentless is that the way it even feels when shooting it, it almost shocks you because you're like, when you aim down sights, you kind of get mixed up in your head a little bit. You're like, am I shooting Adjudicator or Relentless? And then it shoots like a pulse rifle and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. This is a pulse rifle. Now starting off in our third column, we have Keep Away, Tear, Rapid Hits, Slice, Lone Wolf, and Firefly. In our fourth column, we have Desperado, Elemental Honing, Hatchling, Headseeker, Closing Time, and Paracausal Affinity. Now, in terms of what we lost, in our third column, we no longer have Outlaw. We also no longer have Snapshot or Slide Waste. And then in our fourth column, we also lost access to Frenzy, Moving Targets, and Zen Moment. Now, no lying, I'm okay with all of that. The Strand synergy here looks beautiful, from Slice to Elemental Honing to Paracausal Affinity, even Hatchling. I'm loving the Strand synergies there. You also have Tear, which causes nearby enemies to become severed when landing that precision final blow. Then you also have Firefly, which is so interesting to have here, as Firefly does solar damage, which makes me wonder, could we do Firefly in combination with Elemental Honing? So something to keep in mind. The biggest downside here for my PvE players is that it's a high impact pulse, which means it's not that good in terms of DPS, man. It falls behind rapid fire pulse rifles. It falls behind our 2-burst pulse rifles. Things like Aisha's Care, Nullify, and hell, even Cruel Mercy. Those weapons are just better in terms of just raw damage. Now, that doesn't mean it won't be good in the future, and keep in mind what you're getting here is those strand synergies. With that being said though, PvP is where I think Relentless has and will still be its strongest. Now, high impact pulse rifles have really fallen off. Back in the day, man, you couldn't go anywhere without No Time to Explain bursting you inside of PvP. But Bungie's really rolled things back. They've made it more difficult. They've made them less forgiving, which is why you've seen pulse rifles like Redrix and even BXR and other lightweights really take off this season. Now, Bungie has since nerfed some of those. What I do like about high impacts is, yes, they are unforgiving, but they give you one of two things. Either a guaranteed 3 bursts, pretty much no matter what, or the crispy 2 bursts when you do land all crits. And that's a 0.67 time to kill when you do so. The things that are going to assist with that the most: Keep Away, Headseeker all day long, or even Lone Wolf and Headseeker. That combination is very solid. Now, interestingly enough, Bungie gave us Closing Time, which I was curious about. Closing Time states that it improves the range and accuracy and handling as the magazine gets lower. Now listen, I'm one of those gamers that will actually prime his weapon mid-gunfight just to give myself a small percentage chance of winning my 1v1 duels. And when you look at Crossing Over, again, at the bottom half of the magazine, you're doing anywhere between 1.5 to 3% more damage. So there is a play to be made here, guys. You can actually prime your pulse rifle down, proc Closing Time to give you that extra range, and then increase your damage with Crossing Over. Combine that with either Keep Away or even Lone Wolf, preferably Keep Away in my opinion, and you've got a pretty deadly combination. We'll be testing it out this week, and I know most of you probably don't care to go through those links, but as someone who used to do one-shot body shot kills with aggressive snipers back in the day with high impact reserves, I love this kind of stuff. Now this takes us to our final weapon on the list, a sudden death. Now let me just say something about this shotgun. You will be blown away by the kills that this shotgun can land for you. You will walk away from certain matches going, my God, that is the best shotgun I have ever used. And then literally within the next match, sudden death will leave every guardian in one shot. Dude, it blows my mind. This shotgun is inconsistent, always has been, but hot damn is it sexy, and it's got the perks, dude. Now this one has seen the most elemental shifts out of everything on this list. With this version, get this, a void shotgun now, falling in that aggressive 55 rounds per minute archetype. Now keep in mind, all shotguns have static pellet spreads now. Precisions are pretty much looked at as the best, as the oval shape literally makes it almost the same size as a guardian, which is why some people don't like to use aggressives. They got a bit more spread to them. However, they do make up for it by doing a lot more damage. Now in the third column, we have 1-2 punch, threat detector, discord, envious assassin, slide shot, and repulsor brace. In our fourth column, we have closing time, paracausal affinity, destabilizing rounds, redirection, opening shot, and trench barrel. Now, in terms of the perks we lost, third column, we lost elemental capacitor, and in our fourth column, we lost cascade point and barrel constrictor. Now, interesting to note that unlike our other options, a lot of the perks here are the same. However, the new ones are heavy hitters. For PvE players, dude, that discord redirection roll, hot. Look, I like Discord. It literally says, hey, get a kill with another weapon and now blow your load and then keep blowing. Oh, you think you're out? No, sir. I like Discord, guys. It's a good perk and it's great for special weapons as it refunds ammo. Combine that with the rebuff redirection and you're accumulating multiple stacks, not using up any ammo, and then blowing your load at maximum efficiency. With that being said though, guys, how can we not talk about 1-2 punch and trench barrel? Hot damn. Look at that, man. 1-2 punch is obviously very good as it increases your melee damage, but trench barrel increases the shotgun damage when you land a successful melee hit. You essentially have 2-in-1. That is such a deadly combination that I don't believe we have ever seen on a shotgun. Bungie really balling out with this combination. And keep in mind, this is an aggressive frame shotgun, which means after you get a kill with the shotgun itself, it increases the rate of fire, which you guess it, allows one to blow thy load even more. No lie, everything here looks so good for PvE that I don't even want to talk about PvP, but I know we got to. Slide shot, opening shot all day long. That's really the only combination to look for. Closing time I know is present here, but don't worry about that. Opening shot is just better. Combine that with accurized rounds, boost that range up as much as you can, then you tack on crossing over, silver, and that's really the only thing to look for inside of PvP. But without a doubt, guys, this is going to be an S tier choice for PvE players. So those are your god rolls for prophecy weapons this week. We'll have a guide on how to do this dungeon, although it's a good chance most of you already know how, but we'll have a guide nonetheless, going over some of the optimal strategies for nailing this one down. I'm really curious to see how this dungeon plays out because of the lore implications with the 9, the prophecy, and of course the lead up here to Edge of Fate. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.